What is up, everybody? Welcome to Happy Hour. I know it's interesting to see my face, Lou's face, on a Thursday night. What the hell's going on? Well, Lou's got some important shit to do tomorrow that involves a very important baseball team. So we moved a little bit. Exactly. And you guys can suck it if you don't like it. We are here on Thursday instead of Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be breaking down all 12 fights from a DFS and a gambling perspective, give you some good lines, some interesting plays for those DFS lineups, as well for UFC Vegas 62. It's the appetizer before the main card next week, UFC 280. So let's get right into it. Lou, how are you feeling about this card?
Feeling fantastic, man.
Philly fantastic.
Some interesting spots, but let's not waste time. Let's get right to
For sure. Thank you, chat, for being in here. See Wiz, see Rob. We really appreciate you guys. Let's get right into it, guys. Keep you for about an hour. We'll be out of here before 7 Eastern. Mike Jackson, first fight of the night, and I can't contain my emotions here. The laughter and hilarity is coming out. Going against Pete Rodriguez. I'll go ahead and start this one off. You're going to have to put one of these guys, both of these guys in your lineups. We don't know what's going to happen. This fight sucks. These guys have 7 professional fights between them. What should happen is Pete Rodriguez comes out here, starches Mike Jackson inside the first round. Easy pickings. Your 90% salary win rate at 9,500 makes optimal lineup, and that's it. However, this is Mike Jackson. He did get fouled onto the optimal lineup last time. If Pete can't get it done because he only has 5 fights, Jackson could be sitting there spoiling everyone's lineups again. So you're gonna have to play a ton of both of this fight. It's the first fight of the night, Lou. You could be made or broken on this fight, and you'll be done by 3:30 p.m. Who knows? So I'm picking Pete Rodriguez to win, but I'm rostering both guys. What do you think about this one?
Okay, don't bet the fight.
Yeah, please don't.
Don't bet it. But if you have to,
yeah,
I have a 1/10 of a unit on Mike Jackson by decision.
Nice.
I think Pete Rodriguez probably clobbers him. I get it. But in the fight against Dean Barry, it wasn't Dean Barry's striking that was hurting Jackson. It was the relentless ball shots.
Yep.
That was doing the damage.
The constant ball rage.
And the eye gouges. But the one thing I saw Mike Jackson in that fight is every time he got hit, he tried to get Dean Barry against the cage. Like, yeah, he was rocked, but he got him against the cage. He tried to go for takedowns. I'm not saying these are world-class takedowns, but he seemed aware enough to close the distance and avoid trying to keep getting hit. So the reason I took this bet, A, it's hilarious, and if it hits, I'm a goddamn genius. But B, if Rodriguez, we've never seen him extended, and if he does get tired, I don't think Mike Jackson has finishing equity. His finishing equity is disqualification. So if Rodriguez gets tired, I could see it play out like the CM Punk fight where Mike Jackson just kind of lays on him for 2 rounds and steals it. And do I think that's going to happen? No. But a plus 1,800 for a decision prop for literally a nothing bet to start my day. What the fuck? Why the hell not? What's up, prop?
Exactly.
That's all I got on that one.
Yeah, this one is an interesting one. Crazy bets and got to play them in DFS. Next fight, we'll keep it moving. CJ Vergara, a lot of people on this dog this week. I don't see it personally. Going against Tatsuro Taira, what stands out to you in this fight?
I think Taira's going to submit him. I like Vergara. He's fun to watch, but he looked good against Ode in the 3rd round, but Ode, I don't know. I've never been really too high on Ode Osborne, to be honest. And then against Cledson Rodriguez, I don't think he won the fight. So he gives up his back a lot when he's trying to get up. His striking's kind of basic. I don't think Taira's striking is anything to write home about, but he's pretty strong. And I think his back takes are good. I think his sub game's good. And I can see him wrapping a neck probably in the first 2 rounds. But at plus 350 for the sub for Taira, I'm all about it. And Taira at the money line is a good parlay piece. I don't really like laying a number that big. If you know me, I don't anything over minus 200s. Not like Lou lands here, but I do think he's a good parlay piece. I think he's safe. I think the worst case scenario is he wins the first 2 rounds pretty handily and then maybe fatigues, but he's 22. So I would really hope he does not fatigue at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love the breakdown, and I'd be extremely pleased if that ended up playing out. CJ Vergara, I mean, these guys have 3 fights between them. Like you said, it is a bit difficult to get to the window on a minus 230 or even anything over minus 200 on a guy that has 1 professional fight or 1 UFC fight, I should say. He has a very extensive amateur record as well, undefeated so far, which we do like in this case. Scores very well per minute, scores very well per win. CJ Vergara not generally giving up a ton of points, but does allow 3.33 per minute and has been taken down and controlled. And like you said, I do hope this leans toward, first, second round submission. That would be huge at $9,100. Get Tyra back on the optimal lineup. He could be sneakily under owned this week. I think Pete's going to be a huge, Pete Rodriguez is going to have huge ownership. I think Brito's going to have huge ownership, who did finally come out at 9,400 today. But yeah, I think Tyra is a great pick. $9,100 gets the job done inside the distance. I have nothing against Vergara, like you said, but I just don't like that Ode Osborne loss, and I like Tyra's win over Candelario. Scored very well, 96, almost 97 points in a 3-round decision. So for a guy making his UFC debut, putting up points like that in the 3-round decision, looks great. He scored from every angle. Absolutely love to see it. So give me Tyra. I think we're on the same side here. Next fight, Piera La Fiera Rodriguez going against Sam Page, Sam Hughes. I'm not big on the dog so far in this card. I like Piera Rodriguez here, 8,600 to 7,600 for Hughes. Hughes has looked fantastic after dropping her first 3 fights in the UFC. She smashed up, Estella, not even smashed up. It was a majority decision, but she won pretty handily against Nunes, and then beat up Elise Reed, 3rd round KO TKO. Love to see that. Piera Rodriguez is not Elise Reed. She does not just spam left hooks over and over and over again, hoping to catch one. She's got decent ground game, and I think that will come into effect here. She scored over 1.5 points per minute against her opponent in her first fight, the one and only Kay Hansen, getting taken down and controlled in that fight. I think the same thing probably happens here, although Sam Hughes is probably a bit liver than Kay Hansen would be in this situation. I personally like Rodriguez. I'll probably have her in a few lineups for sure. I don't know where her ownership's going to be. That's the only thing. I'll probably be a bit over if she's around 25%, maybe a bit over on Sam Hughes as well. I think this one could finish, but really it probably goes to decision with Rodriguez getting her hand raised here. And she only scored 79 points in her first fight. So that is a bit sketchy for me. Maybe I will tone it down a little bit on the ownership. What do you think as far as this strawweight fight?
Yeah, I don't have a bet on this yet, but I lean toward Piera here. Look, Sam Hughes, Estella Nunez gassed, and Elise Reed cannot defend the takedown. And that whole fight was just Hughes abusing her on the ground. She won't be able to do that here to Rodriguez. Rodriguez has proven she can go 15 minutes. That her endurance is pretty good. The cardio is on point. I like Hughes' cardio too. I think both of them will be able to go for takedowns in the 3rd round. But I don't think much is going to happen. And on the feet, I think Rodriguez is just a cleaner striker. I don't think she's going to get a finish here. I don't think anybody gets a finish here. But I do think Rodriguez could do way more damage on the feet if Hughes is going for desperation takedown attempts from way too far out, which she's shown that she can. And, her technique is not the cleanest. Again, when you're taking down Elise Reed, you don't need the cleanest technique. You could telegraph it from 8 feet away, and Elise Reed's going down. Rodriguez is going to be way gamer, and she's got a couple of good reverses I saw, in her last 2 fights, where she's able just to immediately turn, as she's going to the ground, almost turn the positioning. So I think she's going to win. I think, look, man, Sam Hughes, she lost those 3 fights in a row. Probably should have been out of the UFC. But Estella Nunez isn't a high quality win, and Elise Reed is barely UFC quality. So I don't look too much into those. I do think Hughes is all right. But I think Piera Rodriguez is, and then this is a setup fight for Rodriguez. They're building her up. So
agreed.
Rodriguez by decision. I don't have a bet on it yet. She may be a parlay piece too. Maybe with Tyra, just to get that early shit out of the way, but not
That'd
much.
Get you a pretty good number too. That would get you a pretty decent number.
Probably plus 120 plus.
Yeah, get you in the plus anyway for sure. Her by decision is minus 108. Ugh.
I only care about bets that have a plus in front of them.
Exactly. We like them plus size bets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. the bigger. Hey, big bets need love too, man.
Exactly, for sure. And we're gonna give it to them. Next fight, Rafael Assunção going against, and of course I messed up as I always do, going against Victor Henry. Why don't you go ahead and start this one off? Actually, you like the dog here? You think Assunção's not dead in the water?
No, I like Henry by late finish here. I think his round 3 prop's not great. His round 2 prop's not great. And I didn't mention this on the prop show earlier. By the way, go watch my prop show. Everybody, go watch it. Just watch it multiple times. Watch it multiple times from multiple devices at the same time. I would love that. So Henry is not a one hit or quit guy. He's a volume puncher. Assunção has no defense. He's really no offense at this point. He's very low volume. I think Henry's going to eventually wear him out by volume, but I looked at the odds. Like Henry in the distance isn't bad. I think it's plus 130, and I'm fine with that for a guy that's minus 350. Like against a guy who's in his 40, that's been finished recently a couple times. Give me Henry to get it done. The problem is, like I said, round 2 KOs, or round 2 is plus 500. Round 3 is plus 1200. I don't love those numbers. Round 2 for 500 is a terrible number here. But if FanDuel offers you like the round 2, round 3 KO combo, take a look at that. I don't think he gets him out of there in the first, but I do think he wears him out and eventually gets the finish sometime after like the 1.5 mark. You could,
I love it.
You could do, by the way, if you want to do a parlay on DraftKings, like the same game for it, you could take a look and see if you have Victor Henry in like over 5 minutes or over 5.5 minutes, something like that. At the very least, that probably gets it down to like -1, high -100s. So I don't hate that either, but
yeah, that's not terrible. This is one where, this week is interesting. It's a lot of guys that you could see getting some finishes here. So you got to kind of play both of them. This one, I'm not going to have a ton of Assunção. I mean, historically is a terrible scorer for DraftKings. 2.27 points a minute, 72, less than 72 per win. Just awful. Meanwhile, Victor Henry looked fantastic. Did a great job of breaking that down. I completely agree. He scored 113. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. 113 against Barcelos, 5.5 points a minute. I mean, landed a gazillion strikes, 181 strikes, and still managed. He got taken down, but still managed to 10x Barcelos in regards to control time. So very impressive from Henry here. He is 35 years old, still 5 years younger than Rafael Assunção. Anybody that gets starched by Cody No Chin Garbrandt is definitely red flags here. So I'm going to be leaning Victor Henry. Victor Henry's my pick as well. I'll probably have him in a few lineups, and I'm hoping he does get Assunção out of there. But Assunção, historically pretty tough. Only finished 4. I guess he has been finished 4 out of 6 fights. So that is a few more finishes than I would have imagined. So yeah, I'm going to definitely pick Henry. I'm not going to have Assunção in too many lineups at all. Just don't like him even at $6,900. It seems like it's a trap. So
we missed the Brito fight, by the way.
Did we? Let's I have that one after Maximov. They must have rearranged it. Let's we'll do that one, then we'll go back to Maximov and then keep it moving. Yeah, which it should be. The Brito fight should be lower. I agree. Here it is. Joe Anderson, Brito, Lucas Alexander, DK finally came out with salaries today officially, even though we all knew what it would be. $9,400 for Brito, $6,800 for Alexander. I have no stats for Alexander. His strength of schedule is terrible. Brito's is not great, but it's at least better. That Andre Fili win did look real good. Under a minute. I mean, he scored 130. Lost to Bill Algeo, who we love Bill Algeo on this show. That win was fantastic for him, but he did, kind of keep it a bit close in that Algeo fight. I don't know much to say about this one. I like Brito. I don't know enough about Alexander. Do you think Brito comes out here and can finish him? If you think Brito can finish Alexander, put him in your lineup. But, I mean, $9,400 for a guy. Again, these guys have 2 combined UFC fights, and they're both on the Brito side. So this is a high variance fight. Could go either way. I'm obviously leaning Brito, but what are your thoughts on this one? Hopefully Brito inside the distance or for me, but I just don't know.
Yeah, the problem is Brito inside distance is -165. Now,
crazy.
I wouldn't love that number typically, but in this case, I like it for 2 reasons. One, the very short nature notice of the fight for Lucas Alexander. Look, we talk about all these short notice fights all the time, but guys are getting 2 to 3 weeks. That's become the norm during the COVID era. This is days. Number 2,
this is days, and it's a newcomer. Yeah.
In the limited tape I've seen of Alexander, I do not like how low he keeps his hands. This guy, his striking defense isn't very good. He's got some power, but his striking defense isn't very good. I think Brito's pretty tough too. Like if Alexander does land a couple of shots early, that's fine. But I do think that he keeps his hands low. If Brito just goes to striking, he's going to get Alexander out of there. If he wants to go to the grappling, Alexander's cardio is going to be definitely compromised on the shortest. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen. I love Bagdasarian, man.
Same.
I think he's really, and I would have had a big bet on Bagdasarian. I probably would have lost, but I just like watching him.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he can do in this promotion.
But Brito inside the distance is the play. It's -165. I don't know that I'll get there though. I really don't like that kind of number. I really don't like that number. Anything outside of like heavyweight, where it's basically like a money line at that point. So, but the pick for the show is Brito inside the distance, but no play yet.
Yeah, I like it. I'll probably be under the field on this one, and I'll just have my exposures elsewhere. I think it's just a safer play, in my opinion. But then again, you might, check those ownership odds. It might be really low on that fight, and you could go over and make some money. So just keep an eye on ownership for that one. Would be my final advice. Nick Maximov going against Jacob Malkoun. Here is a fight that you're probably going to have to play both sides of. These are the two best historical DraftKings performers since 2021 on this card. Both have made the optimal lineup in 2 out of 3 fights. Maximov over 5 a minute, Malkoun over 5.5 a minute, both over 110 per win. I mean, these guys are scoring crazy numbers. It's wrestling game here. Maximov smashed Brundage, who not really smashed, but beat Brundage, scored well, 96 points, only landed 4 takedowns in that one. Actually, the one I was thinking of is Soriano. He smashed Soriano. I was on the other side of that one stupidly. 11 takedowns is what he landed. And then Andre Petrosky comes and subs him in like less than a minute and a half. So every fight that Maximov is involved in, someone is scoring a ton of points. Jacob Malkoun appears to be the same way. He did get robbed against Brendan Allen, in my personal opinion, in his last fight. Should have gotten that win. And with that win, he would have had 97 points. But before that, against Dobson, 130. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, 114. And against Phil Hawes killed him in the first 30 seconds and scored a ton of points, well over 120. So there are guys scoring tons of points in these fights. I will personally have probably close to 100% of this one. The official pick is probably going to be Maximov, even though I'm wrong on every single Maximov fight. I'm pushing for Jacob Malkoun to win. I kind of like the guy. Maximov will probably get it done here. 3rd round. I think whoever wins can score very well in a decision. I think whoever wins can score very well in a finish. But honestly, I'd be pushing for the decision, hoping for reversals, hoping for stand-ups and rinse and repeat takedowns if I'm playing DraftKings on this one. So 8,300, 7,900, that's a coin flip. Closest fight on the card. Put them both in your lineup. That's my advice. What do you got for this one?
I don't have a bet yet because I'm on the Maximov side and I just keep watching this line move.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting. At some point there might be some buyback, but I'm really enjoying you just getting them at a better price the longer you wait. I also have a bet on this fight ending in a split decision, which I'll get to in a second. But I feel like I've romanticized Malkoun a little bit. I lost on the Allen fight.
Yep,
I had him by split decision, which killed me. It was like one of those bets. I was like the first one on it. I'm like, why is this number plus 850? And then anyway, but I went back and watched it, as traumatizing as it was. And I don't think Malkoun won. I didn't think at the time he had won anyway. I thought he'd lost the 2nd and 3rd rounds. The thing is he doesn't do anything on the ground. And more importantly, he sort of looked gassed at the end of the 3rd round. You go back to his previous 2 fights, Dobson's making his debut, really doesn't have very good takedown defense. Al Hassan has no takedown defense. I mean, Buckley was ragdolling him. So you look at those 2 performances, and then you look at the one before that where he gets knocked out in 18 seconds, and that's an outlier, and that's not going to happen here. If this thing's on the feet, your guess is as good as mine who's going to win. I have no idea. But I think if this thing becomes just a takedown contest, which I believe it will, and a get-up game contest, which I believe it will, I think Maximov's going to have an advantage. He's a naturally stronger guy. He's fought at heavier weights. I think Malkoun should probably move down, if I'm being honest. I think he should go to
his jiu-jitsu is a lot better too, isn't it?
I mean, it's debatable, but I don't think Malkoun is pretty one-dimensional. Not to say Maximov isn't really that one-dimensional, but there's a guy that's fought at heavyweight. This is a dude who's really, he's going to have a strength advantage. He's going to have a cardio advantage. And so the reason I like a split decision here is I see a fight with no damage. So nobody's going to do damage to each other. There's not going to be a lot of strikes thrown. So if there's no damage and it's just takedown, get up, reversals, how do you judge these fights? So if you're going to bet a split decision, by the way, always bet both guys to win by split on top of the split decision, because you'll get that double up on your money, or 2.5 times your money. It's okay that you lose. I mean, you'll profit doing it that way. You just want to make sure you have, for instance, this is plus 400 to end in a split, which I think is really good. Most fights that have a wide fight goes distance line, you usually get a split decision at plus 300. So 400 is good here. Malkoun's plus 800, Maximov's plus 700. Last I checked. So I mean, you're rooting for Malkoun in that case, but Maximov for 700 is really not bad. So that's how I am going to attack. That's in the prop market. That's what I'm doing. But the bet and the pick is going to be Maximov. And who knows at this point, maybe I get Maximov at minus 110. Maybe I get him at even money. I mean, I don't know.
That would be insane, I think.
But I mean, anything at 110, 115 is great.
No kidding.
Yeah, as soon as he knows,
Yeah.
there will be no damage.
Love that. So we're skipping Brito. We already did that. Next one, on to a fight that I kind of sneakily like. Mana Martinez, well, at least one side. Mana Martinez going against Brandon Davis. What do you think about this one? Do you think Davis has any chance at all?
Well, when I did the show at Wheezy on Monday night, I said there's 2 Brandons on this card, and this one is let's not go Brandon. We're not doing it. Not let's go Brandon here. I don't know, man. I don't really like what I've seen from Davis at the UFC level. I don't love what I've seen from Mana Martinez too much, but I got to say this about Martinez. The Kennedy fight, all of a sudden it's aging pretty well because Kennedi's having like some kind of weird resurgence. But Mana Martinez had a lot of problems in camp that week. He had like his father, I don't know if his father or his coach. Like I feel like an asshole now, but somebody very close to him, a father figure, if not his father, had passed away that week. I believe it was his coach.
Yeah.
So and that was like a couple days for the fight. And then his last fight against Ronnie Lawrence, he looked pretty goddamn good in the 3rd round after being ragdolled for 10 minutes. He almost, and I had him round 3 KO too, so I was really rooting for that. But I thought he looked good. You know, look, I know he allegedly has a lot of power, but realistically, I haven't seen it. Like on the regionals, yes, but at the UFC level, I'm just not seeing it. I mean, the Kennedy fight, he never really had Kennedy in bad shape.
Right.
He had Lawrence in bad shape, but the way he got Lawrence in bad shape was kind of strange in that, like, I think Lawrence just assumed, I'm just going to dunk him again. And I think Martinez can win. I saw Propaholics tweet earlier about that, about the fight ending KO. I think that's Davis's only path. I don't think Davis wins a decision here. But something just tells me Martinez could like kind of dink and dunk him for 15 minutes and win a unanimous decision. I'm going to bet Mana Martinez. I am not sure if I'm doing a prop yet.
Okay.
I think fight to end in KO is an interesting way because I think I saw it at plus 140 and the Martinez KO is plus 170. So I'd be cool eating the 30 cents just to
get both sides.
To get both sides of it. But I just don't really like what I've seen from Davis. And he had like a knee issue a couple months ago.
Oh, no.
And there's a lot of red flags here. Like there's nothing on his side that I like, but I think Martinez can get it done. But I kind of I sort of lean toward decision in this for him, but I'm just going to play him outright and maybe add a prop if I'm feeling frisky.
Yeah, that both sides by KO is not bad. Or like Prop said, play the fight to end by KO. I agree. I like Martinez here. Probably Martinez by decision, like you said, but hoping he could get Brandon Davis out of there a bit early. I mean, Davis, again, I mentioned it last night on the Pub Sports Radio. I'm not going to go in on him as hard as I did last night. But I mean, looked terrible against Dana Batgarel. Got knocked out in 2 minutes.
Can you say it correctly, please?
Dana Batgarel.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to.
I don't know if Bert's watching. I don't know if Bert's watching. Bro.
I'm so sorry, dude. I'll be better.
Bert's watching.
Will be better.
Dana Batgarel.
But before that, I mean, he did have some tough opponents, guys. He did fight Zabit. He fought Giga and lost. Fought Kang Ho Kang,
by decision,
fighter,
and he lost by decision.
Yep, against Giga and Kang. Lost by sub to Randy Costa. That does not age well. It's like the opposite of the Guido Canetti fight for Mana Martinez. Definitely does not age well. I think Davis, unfortunately for him, at 32 years old, is probably done. I'm sure he has one more fight on his UFC contract, so we're going to be able to, we're going to have to see him again. Honestly, I think that they want Martinez to do well. I think they're giving Martinez Davis here. 8,500 is not a bad price, but Martinez does not historically score very well. 75 points when he won against Guido Canetti. So, like you said, if this goes to decision, I'm not expecting anyone to score very well. If this ends inside the distance, obviously, I think Martinez is probably the one doing it. Probably going to score better than Davis would. Because if Davis wins inside the distance, it's probably going to be he's getting beat up for a bit and then lands something, wobbles Martinez and is able to capitalize. So probably won't score very well if he does get the finish. So I like Martinez overall, but I will be a bit, trepidatious when it comes to rostering him in my lineups. But I do think he wins. I like watching him fight too. I think he's going to be, if he can stick around that 5'10" at bantamweight, looking pretty decent here. Yeah, there you go, Eric. I love it. Hey, you could if you do it through your company. You know what I mean? Just write everything off. Damn the man, as they used to say. Next fight, and I think we're on to the main card. Yes. first fight of the main card. We got a decent little light heavyweight fight here. Misha Cirkunov going against Alonzo Menafield. I'll start this one off. The salaries here are crazy wide. 8,900 for Menafield, 7,300 for Cirkunov. I'm going to be over on Cirkunov because my whole thing is you can't sit there and tell me you know exactly what Menafield is going to do. He has shown terrible fight IQ in the past. He the only fight, I had him against Ed Short Fuse Herman, expecting that, Ed Short Fuse was like 39 years old at the time, maybe 40 even, maybe more than that. And Menafield could not get it done. Just didn't get it done.
He was one kick away.
For a whole round.
They told him you're one kick away from finishing him. And then he threw no kicks. He threw no kicks in the third round. Drove me bonkers.
For real. And even against Askar Mozarov, the guy who has the most fraudulent record in UFC history, pretty much, Menafield, I was really wondering if he was going to be able to get it done in the first round. He was just, obviously he was taking his time and whatever. But my point is I don't trust Alonzo Menafield at all. Even when he subbed Charant in just over a minute, he didn't even score 100 points. That's not going to get him on the optimal lineup most likely this week, as I do expect a ton of big finishes probably. So give me a ton of Cirkunov. I'll be over on Cirkunov, even though he's 1-4 in his last 5. I think this one does not get out of, I think this one finishes under 1.5. So I'm loving the potential score on the Cirkunov side at 7,300. You're getting a steal on him. His ownership will probably be low. I'm sure Menafield, who's been 43% owned on average in his past 3 or 4 fights, is probably going to be close to 40% again this week. Mind-blowing, but I'll be well under that. And hey, Menafield could come out here and smash Cirkunov. Cirkunov could put himself in terrible positions like he usually does lately, and Menafield could score a ton of points. I'll have a bit of him, but I think everybody's going to have a ton of Menafield, so I'm going to be looking to get a little bit different, and I do like the Cirkunov side here. What do you think about this one? Does Misha stand a chance?
So I don't have any dogs to this point. We're going to make this my first one.
There we go.
I am also on the under. I'm not going to lie. I'm like really fucking terrified about it. To the point where like I'm having some weird juju about it, to where I may actually just do fight doesn't start round 3 and eat the juice. Like weirdly enough, those 2.5 minutes may matter, but I took Cirkunov round 1 submission at plus 650. Ooh. I feel like that's his win condition. I'm thinking like, look, Cirkunov's moving back up to 205. This is something you're going to want to see on the scale. But I talked about this earlier today too. Cirkunov is 3 inches bigger than Menafield. I think when you look at Menafield, you assume that he's just going to be the bigger, bulkier guy than any of his opponents. And I don't know that that's going to be the case here. So I really want to see him on the scales. But this thing's going to hit the ground. And it's going to hit the ground one of 3 ways. Menafield's going to drop him. Or one of them takes down the other one. Now, I know Menafield's takedown defense. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Almost 90% takedown defense.
Sorry, I have SARS, I think.
Oh, my allergies are killing me today.
Or mad cow disease or some shit.
The bird flu.
So either Cirkunov, I think somehow they're going to tumble to the ground. I don't even want to say there's going to be a takedown. They're going to tumble to the ground. And whoever lands on top wins the fight in the next minute. Because if Menafield lands on top, I don't know that Cirkunov will be able to get him off. And if Cirkunov lands on top, he's very live for a submission.
Yep.
So I am going to play Cirkunov here. I don't think Menafield should be a 2-1 favorite over kind of anybody. I mean, Askarov, sure. Like, but not in this fight. As bad as Cirkunov's look, like, I get it. But, and look, the way he submitted to Turman, like, immediately is not a great look.
No.
But that lends toward the under here more than anything. I think Cirkunov, I don't know that I even trust his cardio that much. But again, he's going to be up in weight. His cardio might be a little better. His chin should be a little better. But I'm not worried about him actually getting one hit knocked out in this. I'm more worried about him, Menafield, being on top of him and raining down more than anything else. So I think it happens in the first round one way or the other. But I love the price on the Cirkunov sub at plus 650. I don't think he knocks Menafield out. I do think the sub's live. So
love it. Yeah, that would definitely be nice because like I said, I'm going to be over the field on Cirkunov here, and maybe Menafield you might just have to play a ton of. I don't know. That just does not sit right with me.
I mean, at his price point, I get like
it's huge.
Really, I know, and like I get it because there's a couple guys in this card that can get 115, 120 points. He could get the quick minute. He could get the first minute bonus too. I mean,
yeah.
So the thing is yeah, there's a lot of swing fights on this card where there's a lot
this is hilarious.
Yeah, well, I mean, and William Knight stinks. Like there's a lot of swing fights on this card DFS wise where one, like, you almost have to have, like, there's 5 fights that can end in the first round probably.
Oh, it's insane.
And then there's like 3 fights that you want a guy that could have 140 points in a decision. So but the thing is at least you'll know with those kind of fights, you might even get a decent floor on like a Maximov.
Yep.
But on a fight like, and this next one, you're getting 1 point or you're getting like 130
or all of them.
So like
exactly.
your day's over if you don't like you have to play a lot of lineups in this. Like I usually do a single lineup entry like on top of everything else. I don't see a reason to do a single lineup entry in this because I'm not going to feel comfortable with like whatever configuration I come up with. I'm going to hate it.
Right. Daz, you talking if you're talking about the Serkinov Menafield fight, I mean, I don't think there's any way.
It could. Well, if they both come out slow and tentative, of course it could.
One fight in UFC for Serkinov has gone the distance.
But Menafield's gone the distance a couple of times. I mean,
yeah, true.
And that's the thing is if it's fought at his pace and it's fought really slow, and I mean this thing starts the second round and all of a sudden like nobody wants to engage because they're both gassed, it could go to a decision. I just would certainly hope. Yeah, very decent pelvic floor. But enough about Serkinov Menafield. I can't talk about this.
Yeah, let's get into the real technical battle
here.
Dusko Todorovic and Jordan Wright. What are your thoughts on this clusterfuck of a fight?
I'm not even going to bother analyzing this. I'm on the under 1.5. I got it at like minus 190 in a parlay.
Wow, nice.
No, not really. It's terrible. I mean, it's a terrible bet.
Minus 190 under 1.5.
I mean, fight doesn't start. The second is like minus 140, 135 area. Like, and I feel like that's probably all right too. But I this is just throwing away money. I'm just gonna.
This fight ends in under a minute.
I took right round. I took right round 1 KO. It's not even that great, honestly. It's plus 425. It's like you're not even really getting good value, but honestly, it's kind of like I honestly think it's just his money line. Is round 1 KO 425 is his money line.
Yeah, pretty much.
I do think that Todorovic, I think he wins at a pretty solid clip, probably like an 80% clip here. But it's not like Todorovic's striking defense is good. It's very bad. And Wright only needs 1 shot here. So he hurt Bruno Silva. You know, I don't want to like even read into this whole Jamie Pickett fight. Like Pickett's about to die in a few weeks.
His soul is about to leave.
I don't want to pile it on Jamie Pickett. He's about to die. But I mean, Wright. Yeah, I mean, Propaholic posted this like a week ago. He's like, Jesus. I don't know how it was that low.
What?
But it feels pretty safe. Or this is going to be the bet where all of the community are like, how the fuck is this end a decision?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly. However, I'll be one of those guys going, how is this a decision? Because I'm banking on a big early finish here. Much like the Maximov and Malkoun fight, I will be close to 100% on this one, but for completely different reasons. I do expect this to finish inside the distance. I mean, Todorovic Wright can't, you've heard it all before. He can be knocked out very easily. He has no chin, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't actually probably have to do this as more of it's kind of like a hobby for him, it seems like. So that's always bad news when you're going into a fight. Todorovic is just not very good. Just not very good. 8,700, probably his highest ever salary. He's 380 over his average. Both guys score a ton when they win. Somebody's getting finished here. I have no idea who. I'm leaning Wright is the one getting finished. Wheezy, what's cracking? Wheezy in the chat. I'm leaning Todorovic. First round knockout. I mean, obviously that's not a unique take at all. Yeah, if this one goes to decision, everybody here is completely effed who's rostering this fight. I don't remember what ownerships looked like earlier, but this is probably going to be one of the higher owned fights, I would imagine, once ownerships settle down. Probably 40% Todorovic, probably 25% Wright. It could 60, 70, 75% owned would be most likely, and I'm going to have a very decent piece of that. So I think Todorovic gets it done, but both guys are terrible. I don't like either one. I mean, Todorovic looked terrible against Chidi. terrible against actually not so bad against RoboCop, terrible against Soriano. I mean, the only guys he's beat in his past 5 are 2 guys who are no longer in the UFC, and Townsend and Patolo. Wright will probably be joining them in the ranks of no longer in the UFC very soon. So give me Todorovic for the early win, and let's cash some lineups with it, hopefully. But like Lou said, one guy's going to score a gazillion points, and one guy's going to score 0.6. So you gotta take a stand, or just put both of them in. Coco main event, Askar Askarov going against Brandon Royval. I like this fight. Honestly, I think credit to Uncle Wheezy. I think he changed my mind on Askarov a bit, even though I am a pretty trend-based guy a lot of the time. Askarov does not score well in the UFC, guys. 77 points per win. Mushroom in the chat. I was hoping you would be in here, my guy. How's it going? Askarov losing to Kaikara France. But before that, big wins over Elliot, Pantoja, Benavidez. Benavidez, he scored almost 90 points. That's by far his highest scoring fight. Royval, I mean, this guy's a freaking animal. Cardio machine, striking, very high volume is what I'm trying to say when it comes to pretty much every aspect of MMA. I think Askarov wins this fight. At first, I was going to be fading this one big time. I'll have my fair share of Brandon Royval because he's a huge dog that I get big time salary savings with. So I do like that aspect. At 7K, Royval, I think, is very underpriced. He's going to be pretty under-owned. I think this line is way too wide. That said, I believe Askar Askarov wins this fight more often than he doesn't. At first, I thought, maybe Askarov will land a takedown for a round, and then that'll be that. Then he'll get up, land a takedown in the second round, not score well like he does done in every fight. But I really think with the amount of activity that Royval shows, Askarov could land a ton of takedowns. And this is what Uncle Wheezy was saying last night we did the show together. I kind of agree now. I've been thinking about it all day. Askarov, I think, could land a ton of takedowns, 5, 6, 7. He could land it whenever he wants. And if Royval continues to get up, it's going to be rinse and repeat. And I might be missing out on Askarov's biggest scoring fight of his career, which I would not be pleased with. At 9,200, I mean, what he's have scored just over 100 points to make the optimal. So I like Askarov here. I'll be pretty heavy on this fight. I was initially fading it. I changed my mind. Shout out to Uncle Wheezy. I will be pretty heavy on this fight, it turns out, I think, and pretty heavy on the Askarov side as well. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think Askarov by decision. I do think it's a lot of takedowns. The one thing I will say is Askarov didn't look great against Kaikara France in the third round. Like, he kind of faded a little bit, and Royval can scramble. The thing is unless this fight somehow stays at distance, I don't know how Askarov just doesn't press him against the cage, continuously take him down.
Constant takedown defense, or constant control time, I mean.
Yeah, I don't want to overthink this one. I like Royval, and I think his line is, there's an appeal to it, but I can't back it at all.
No, yeah, it's hard to get to, especially since how low he's been, how much he's been underperforming lately. I know he's 3-2 in his last 5, but man, has not looked great. He beat Bontarine, but I think he got outscored. Yeah, Bontarine scored 5 more points than Royval did in that loss. So very interesting look in that fight. Looked good against Schnell, but I think Askarov's a bit better than Schnell, if I had to say, just by a bit. Let's move on to the co-main event, I should say. We are right on time. Thanks again, chat, for hanging in there. Please hit that like button on the MMA Engine if you have somehow forgotten. We would really appreciate that. Jonathan Martinez going against Cub Swanson. I'll let you go ahead and start this one off, but there's a Cub Swanson pulled an epic move that does not look good for him this week regarding the weight cut.
So I like the under 2.5 here plus odds, and it plays to both sides of this, to be honest. So I figure I like Cub in the fight, and I like him by knockout because I don't like Martinez's striking defense at all. I mean, Davey Grant knocked him out. Perez hurt him twice. If those rounds were a little longer, Perez might have gotten him out of there. And Swanson definitely has the power to do it. On the flip side, Swanson's 38. He's moving down for the first time in his career, I believe. This whole weight cut thing is really strange. I'm not talking. I really want to see him on the scale. But if Swanson is compromised at all, as much as Martinez is not some amazing power puncher, he can volume Swanson out of there and he can compromise with the leg kick. So I think either way, I like the KO on either side, but I'm just going to play the under 2.5 plus 130.
Man, we are agreeing a ton today, and I love it. I also love the KO from either side. Like you said, if Martinez could just chop up Swanson, who knows? I hate this weight cut narrative nonsense usually, but this one, I mean, looks bad. I mean, almost 39 years old. You know, I tend to think these things are like more troll type based things than anything. So usually I would put little to no credence in the Cub Swanson can't talk because his weight cut is terrible. I actually kind of agree with it this time. Martinez, one hell of a fighter, did not look great against Grant, but has rebounded tremendously. Looked great in that Morales fight. Scored, only 76 points, so that's kind of his downfall. Does not generally score very many points, less than 75 on average per win. And this is over 7 UFC wins, guys. He's only got 2 finishes in those 7 wins. I like the Swanson side a bit. This fight in general kind of makes me a bit I'm going to be lower. I think overall I can't pick both sides in every single fight. I can't be over the field in every single fight, so this one I'm probably going to be a bit under on. I think the winner could finish, and I think that finish could maybe not even result in an optimal lineup placement. So I like Martinez to win. I love Cub Swanson, but just, I mean, he looked good against Elkins, obviously. First round KO, fantastic. But Elkins is no spring chicken. He's not 28 years old like Jonathan Martinez is. And he's worn, I mean, his nickname is the Damage because that's what he does. He takes freaking damage. So I forget who I was listening to today, but Swanson, I mean, if he has a terrible weight cut, I mean, all he's going to have to do is get kicked to the body, a few knees to the body a couple of times, and he could start fading real quick. And if you see Swanson's face shrivel up and he goes to one knee, this fight is freaking over. Whether it's Jonathan Martinez or Giga Chikadze. So give me Martinez for the win here. I'm thinking it probably finishes inside the distance, but I wouldn't be surprised at a low scoring decision either. So I'll be fading this fight in general, I think, unfortunately, even though it should be a fun scrap to watch. And I do like both of these fighters as fighters. So next fight, guys, main event. We did it. 42 minutes. We're going to get Lou out of here and on his way to the ballpark ASAP, guys.
There's no baseball game tonight.
The game it's tomorrow. That's right. Well, in his head, in my head, he's already there enjoying himself. So, it'll be a good little Friday night game for sure. And I get to relax on a Friday. That's going to be nice. Alexa Grosso against Vivian Araujo. I'll give my thoughts on this one. Man, I think Grosso is super. I think she can go long, has more consistency in her fights. I think that she can go longer. Vivi has terrible cardio, and that's been proven. I think this fight gets extended. Like Mushroom said, I love that round for Alexa Grosso. I think by then, Vivi will be extremely tired, extremely gassed, and Grosso's not going to be slowing down, guys. She looks great pretty much all the time in her fights. I absolutely love to watch her fight. She is 6-3 in the UFC, but she has gotten 4 out of 5 wins in her past 5. Her only loss to the current champion, Carla Esparza, but looked fantastic against Kim. Against Barber, she looked decent. Against Joanne Wood, she smashed her in less than 4 minutes and beat Karolina Kowalkiewicz a few years ago. And Carolina's, out here winning fights again. So Alexa Grosso has a decent little strength of schedule here. Araujo, 3 out of 5 wins in her last 5, I should say. But her wins are much less. I guess they just hold a little bit less weight. Andrea Lee, Roxanne Modafferi, Montana De La Rosa. She did also lose to Jessica I, which I consider a unforgivable offense. So I cannot back Vivi against Grosso here. But it is a main event, and the line is super wide here, 9,000 to 7,200. Believe me, I will have my shares of Vivian Araujo. I think I've said her name 14 different times in this breakdown, but that's okay. The one name I do know how to say is Alexa Grosso, and I will be picking her to win. I think she wins by decision. I think she could win, like Mushroom said, he likes her in the 4th. I think she could win late, and I think she's going to score pretty well in this 5-round fight here, especially if it goes to decision. I could easily see her scoring 90, 100 points, and possibly 10xing that salary. So do love Grosso here. Maybe even gets the submission finish late in the fight. What do you think about this one to close us out?
Like Grosso to win. I like her round 3, round 4. It's
it.
plus 8 something on DraftKings. Yeah, I think it was 800. I do think Araujo will tie her out by the end of the 2nd round, early 3rd round.
Yeah.
And Grosso will get her out of there. I don't have much more to add here. I'm just not impressed with Araujo. She's getting older, and I can't get her being tired against Chikagian out of my head. So
Yep.
I think Grosso can use the takedowns to tire her out pretty quick in the first 2 rounds.
Oh yeah, if she's landing a few takedowns in those first couple rounds, Arizo's going to be gassed, mouth wide open by the time she comes out of that corner in the third. So we both love Grosso here, and that is going to do it, guys. We did it all 12 fights for UFC Vegas 62. Gone through in about 45 minutes, fantastically, I might add. Lou and I agreed on a lot of picks this week. It seems pretty straightforward for the most part. That usually means it's going to be, quite the cluster when it actually does happen. But hopefully we can cash some of these bets, get some of these violent bets going for us, and cash some lineups. So without further ado, we won't keep you any longer on the Thursday night. There are some great shows happening. I know was it Wheezy and Wiz? Did you say?
Yes.
Wheeze and Wiz, love that combination. So that they got a show coming up. I think it's on Wiz's channel. Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think that's in about 15 minutes.
Yes.
So there you go. Perfect. I can listen pretty well occasionally when people tell me stuff. So definitely check that one out. Two of the best and most smartest guys in our I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm exhausted. Two of the best and smartest guys in our space. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. Other than me and Lou here, obviously. So, Lou, what have you got for the people before we get on out of here on this Thursday?
Nothing much, man. Next week's pay-per-view, so I would say keep your eyes open. We got I'm sure we're all going to be busy doing other stuff. I know that Liam's talking about doing a show with the Horsemen. I know that next Thursday will be doing my prop show with the one and only Paul Shaughnessy from the Dogger House podcast, which is really cool. He doesn't do a lot of
shoey
shows.
bets, maybe.
We'll be doing a shoey. He doesn't do a lot of stuff off his network. So I think it's really cool that he's gonna be a weirdo with me. I think that'll be
for
fun.
Sure.
And that's all I got. Good luck this weekend, guys, and tread lightly on certain spots. But there's some violence to be had.
Absolutely. I completely agree. We'll be looking forward to some of these shows coming out tonight and tomorrow, getting some last minute advice from these fantastic people that we have going on here. But yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Check me out on YouTube. I got Game Theory out on my MonkMMATics channel. We have Salary Voodoo out on the MMA Engine, which you should also check out. And I might be putting out another video tomorrow, possibly about a 15-minute odds on optimal. I kind of forgot to record that today when I came home. So should probably do that as well. But guys, as usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you next time for UFC 280. Have a good one.